Welcome back, everyone. Get ready. We're going deep into true crime today.
Huh.
We got a wild mix of cases, each one ripped from the headlines.
It's fascinating how these cases, seemingly separate, actually reveal these interconnected themes, like the power of perception and the impact crime has on families, and then the advances in forensic science, and how all that can bring justice even after, decades.
We're going to start with a case that honestly really got to me. The story of Dustin Gersom.
Yeah.
He was a seasoned camper, found dead in his tent in, the vast Montana wilderness. It really makes you question that whole safety in nature idea. Makes you think twice about the dangers out there.
Absolutely. And in this case, given how gruesome his body was, everyone just assumed it was a bear attack.
Right.
Seemed, pretty open and shut, just a tragic wild animal encounter. But then the investigators get there and there's no evidence of bears, at all.
Wait, so no bears, not even tracks or anything?
No tracks, no signs of a struggle, nothing.
That is really unsettling. I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly the danger you thought you knew, it's not even the real threat.
Exactly.
So what did they find?
Well, the autopsy showed that Dustin, he actually died from multiple chop wounds, including some severe head trauma. So that obviously completely blew the bear attack theory out of the water.
Wow.
And it shifted the whole investigation. Now it's a homicide.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. There are no suspects. No leads, nothing. It's a reminder that danger, it can really come from anywhere, even in the places we think are escapes,
This case really hits home for me, I love being outdoors. But it's a reminder that even in the wilderness, things can go very wrong.
Definitely.
And just a reminder to everyone, Dustin was last seen on October 10th, 2025. He was driving a black 2013 Ford F-150. If anyone has any information, even the smallest detail, please contact the authorities. It could really help bring justice for Dustin and his family.
Absolutely.
Now let's move on to Chicago. 2 discoveries of human remains within a week. And it got the city on edge. One was a human skull found in a box on a sidewalk, in broad daylight.
Yeah. In East Garfield Park, it felt almost, staged, like something out of a movie.
Right. It's incredibly eerie. And then just days later, skeletal remains are found in Bucktown.
So are these cases connected, or are we dealing with 2 separate, equally disturbing things here?
Well, it's the contrast in the way they were disposed of that's really interesting. One is so public, almost meant to, shock people.
Yeah.
And the other, we barely know any details about it. So
Right.
it really makes you wonder, what kind of perpetrator are we dealing with in each case? Are these crimes of passion, cold-blooded, something else we just don't know yet?
It's unsettling to think about. Let's move on to a case that really highlights, well, I think, the dark side of human desperation. The case of Amber Waterman.
Yeah.
This woman from Missouri was sentenced to 2 life terms for kidnapping and murdering Ashley Bush, who was a pregnant woman from Arkansas.
And the motive, it's chilling. She wanted to steal Ashley's unborn child and raise it as her own.
It's a fetal abduction case. Thankfully, they're incredibly rare. But when they happen, they often point to these really complex psychological factors. In Amber's case, it seems like this overwhelming desire to be a mother, but combined with this, chilling disregard for human life.
It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Ashley's family, losing her and her unborn child in such a horrific way. Ashley was 31 weeks pregnant. She was excited to welcome her 4th child, and she was just looking for, work-from-home opportunities online. And that's when she encountered a woman named Lucy Barrows on Facebook.
Right.
And Lucy, well, she didn't exist. It was a fake profile made by Amber Waterman
Wow.
to lure Ashley in.
Using this fake persona, Amber convinced Ashley to meet for a job interview. She really exploited Ashley's, trusting nature and her desire to provide for her family.
It's terrifying. It reminds you that online, things aren't always what they seem.
Absolutely.
So Amber drove Ashley back to Missouri, and that's where she tried to remove the baby from Ashley's womb. The baby, tragically, didn't survive. And Amber, with her husband's help, they disposed of Ashley's body.
The level of planning and brutality is just staggering.
And the fact that Amber's husband, James, was involved, he helped cover it up, it just adds another layer of, depravity.
Yeah, it's really
It
disturbing.
makes you think about how, seemingly ordinary people, they can get pulled into these horrific acts.
Absolutely.
Amber's serving life sentences now, but the scars of this tragedy, they'll last forever. For Ashley's family and everyone touched by this case, it's a grim reminder that there's a dark side to humanity,
Yeah.
a side that can lead to acts that are just beyond comprehension. So From a horrific crime in the heartland, let's shift gears to a scandal that's rocked the world of music. Sean Diddy Combs is facing a series of new lawsuits. They're alleging aggravated sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation. And these allegations, they span from 2000 to 2022, and they involve both men and women.
It's a lot to unpack. It raises some serious questions about the power dynamics in the entertainment industry.
These aren't just rumors. We're talking formal legal accusations. One lawsuit from a woman who's remaining anonymous claims that Diddy drugged and raped her at a party. She was just 13 at the time.
If that's true, it's incredibly disturbing, and it could point to a pattern of predatory behavior.
Another lawsuit claims that Diddy assaulted a woman because she accused him of being involved in Tupac's death.
Right.
This brings in like a whole other element. Revenge, abuse of power, like trying to silence someone.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that Diddy denies all of these charges. His lawyers are calling these lawsuits publicity stunts, just ways to extort money.
Right.
It's going to be a long legal battle. Both sides will present their evidence, their arguments, and a court will decide.
But regardless of what happens in court, these allegations have already damaged Diddy's reputation. It's a stark reminder that in this day and age, accusations can have a huge impact, especially in the age of social media.
It's true. Things spread so quickly online, public opinion can form before any legal proceedings even begin.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from a mysterious death in the wilderness to unsettling discoveries in Chicago, and a high-profile scandal in the entertainment world. And we're not done yet. We'll be back after a short break to delve into even more captivating true crime cases. We're going to explore the cold case of the Brighton Axe murder and the tragic death of One Direction star Liam Payne. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about Sean Diddy Combs and all those allegations against him. It's crazy how these high-profile cases, they really play out in the public eye, like everyone's got an opinion.
It really makes you think, about how fame and fortune, they don't protect you from accusations. And the legal process, it can be, well, a long road. Speaking of cases that have been in the public eye for a long time, let's dive into a cold case, one that went unsolved for, 4 decades. The Brighton Axe murder, it's chilling. It shows you how some crimes, they just leave these scars, and they haunt people for years.
Yeah, this one really stuck with people. Back in 1982, Kathleen Krausnick, she was found murdered in her bed with an axe, embedded in her head. It was brutal. And it really shook the community, Everything was terrified. They wanted answers.
Can't imagine.
Her husband, Jim, he became the prime suspect. But they never had enough evidence to convict him.
Can you imagine living under that kind of suspicion? For decades, knowing that people think you're capable of something so awful.
It's a heavy burden to carry, for sure.
So, the case goes cold. Jim, he remarries, tries to rebuild his life. And then get this, a career criminal. He confesses to the murder in 2014, right before he dies in prison.
It's like something out of a movie, right? A deathbed confession. You think, oh, okay, finally some closure.
Exactly. But it wasn't that simple, was it?
No, not at all. The details in his confession, they didn't line up with the evidence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The investigators, they dismissed it. They thought it was a false confession. Maybe he just wanted attention, before he died. So the Krausnick case, it's back to square one.
Unbelievable. So after all that time, what brought this cold case back to life?
The FBI. They reopened the case in 2015. They had a new perspective, new technology, and they were determined to get to the truth. They brought in Dr. Michael Baden, he's a famous forensic pathologist, to re-examine all the evidence, and what he found, well, it changed everything.
Sounds like this new forensic analysis was pretty groundbreaking. So what did Dr. Baden find? What had everyone missed?
The time of death. It didn't match Jim's alibi.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a bombshell. It put Jim Krausnick, who is now in his 70s, right back in the spotlight as the prime suspect.
So after all these years, forensic science rewrites the timeline.
Right.
What was Jim's defense? Did he have an explanation?
He maintained his innocence throughout the whole trial. His lawyers, they attacked the new forensic analysis. They said it wasn't reliable, and they pointed out that there was no physical evidence, no DNA, that actually connected him to the murder.
And his daughter.
Sarah. Yeah, she was just a toddler when her mom was killed. She stood by her father. She believed him.
That must have been so hard for her. Reliving that trauma and then having to defend her dad against those accusations.
Definitely. It shows you how these crimes, they ripple outward, affecting everyone.
So the trial was a media circus, right? Everyone was watching. What was the key evidence that the prosecution had? What did they think would prove Jim was guilty?
Remember that footprint? The one they found on a trash bag at the crime scene back in '82?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it turned out to be crucial. The prosecution, they brought in a forensic shoe print expert, and he testified that the print was a perfect match for a pair of Jim's old boat shoes.
Wow, after all that time, a footprint. It's amazing what forensic science can do. It's like connecting the dots, even decades later.
Exactly. The prosecution argued that the shoe print plus the new time of death, well, it proved that Jim was guilty. They said he used the trash bag to get rid of evidence.
But the defense had to have a counterargument, right? What do they say?
They said the shoe print, sure, it's a match, but it's just circumstantial. It doesn't actually prove he committed the murder. They said those boat shoes were common, anyone could have worn them, and there was no DNA, nothing to directly link him to the scene.
So it was a battle of the experts, basically. After 40 years and a trial full of twists and turns, what did the jury decide?
They found Jim Krausnick guilty of murder.
Wow.
He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. It was a dramatic end to a case that had haunted that town for so long.
40 years he lived with suspicion, and then finally he's held accountable. It's almost like, I don't know, poetic justice or something. But it's also tragic, right?
Yeah, incredibly tragic. Jim, he died from cancer just a year into his sentence. And he maintained his innocence right up until the end. So it leaves a lot of unanswered questions, and a family that's divided.
It's a reminder that the justice system, it's complicated. And finding the truth, especially after so much time has passed, it's really difficult. Sometimes the outcome is bittersweet.
Absolutely. The Brighton Axe murder, it shows you how relentless the pursuit of justice can be, and the power of forensic science, how it keeps evolving. And it shows you how these crimes, they have a lasting impact on everyone involved. It makes you think about time, about memory, and about how we all want answers. We want to see people held accountable no matter how long it takes.
Now let's shift gears to a more recent tragedy, one that has touched millions around the world. The death of One Direction star Liam Payne. It's a reminder that fame and fortune, they don't protect you from addiction. Or from the fragility of life, really.
It's heartbreaking. Liam was only 31 when he fell from that hotel balcony in Buenos Aires. It was a shock to everyone, and it sparked a lot of important conversations, about mental health, the pressure of fame, and the dangers of substance abuse.
At first, there was so much speculation, right? Rumors of foul play, conspiracy theories, everything. It seems like with these high-profile cases, the truth can get lost in all the noise.
It's true. The media attention, the public's hunger for information, it can sometimes make it harder to investigate, to figure out what really happened. But in Liam's case, the police, they were thorough. They looked at the evidence, they interviewed witnesses, and they were able to piece together the events leading up to his fall.
So what did they find out? What happened in those final days?
The police, they ruled out foul play. They said his death was accidental. But the investigation, it uncovered a really sad story. A young man battling addiction, struggling to cope with the pressure of being famous.
It's a reminder that behind the fame, the fans, the social media posts, there are real people.
Yeah.
And they're dealing with real problems. The pressure to look perfect, the constant scrutiny, it takes a toll.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that. A few days before his death, Liam and his girlfriend, they were on vacation in Argentina. They were at concerts, posting pictures, looking happy. But underneath it all, he was struggling.
Social media can be so deceiving, can't it? It's like a highlight reel. You never see the whole picture.
That's true. And in the days leading up to his death, things took a dark turn for Liam. The hotel staff, they called 911. They were worried about him. They said he was under the influence, acting erratically, and they were afraid he might hurt himself.
I can't imagine what that 911 call must sound like, knowing how it all ended. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's chilling. It sounds like he was really in distress, like he needed help, and the hotel staff, they did the right thing. They called for help, but tragically, it wasn't in time. By the time emergency services arrived, Liam had already fallen.
It's a terrible loss. A young man with so much talent, gone too soon. What did the toxicology reports show?
They found cocaine, a strong sedative, and some over-the-counter medications in his system. His room was a mess. There was evidence of drug and alcohol use everywhere.
It sounds like he was trying to self-medicate, trying to escape the pressure. He had talked about his struggles with addiction before, hadn't he?
He had. Back in 2020, he said he went to rehab. It shows you how hard it is to break that cycle, the battle to stay sober, and how devastating relapse can be.
His death, it really resonated with people. It sparked a lot of grief, but also a lot of reflection. It's a reminder that mental health issues, addiction, they can affect anyone, no matter how famous or successful you are.
It's a reminder that we need to talk about these issues more openly, especially for people in high-pressure jobs, like in the entertainment industry. And we need to support people who are struggling.
Liam's legacy is not just his music. Hopefully, his story will help change the way we think about addiction and mental health. Encourage people to seek help when they need it.
Absolutely. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It's a sign of strength.
Well said. Now, as we move on from Liam's story, let's circle back to a case that's been making headlines for different reasons. A case that raises some tough questions about power, about accountability, and about how we separate fact from fiction in this digital age. Let's delve back into the allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. Let's look at those lawsuits and what they mean for society as a whole. So we're back to Diddy. And these accusations against him, they're really significant, especially with the whole hashtag #MeToo movement, bringing all this misconduct to light. And how it seems like these systems protect abusers, not the victims.
Absolutely. And the entertainment industry is like a prime example of that. All those power imbalances, the culture of silence, it's been a major focus of the movement.
It's a case that has everyone talking, that's for sure. Some people are ready to condemn Diddy just based on the number of accusations. But others are saying, hold on, innocent until proven guilty. What about false accusations ruining someone's life?
Right. And those do happen. We can't forget that.
Right.
False accusations can have devastating consequences. But in Diddy's case, the sheer number of allegations and the fact that they go back decades and involve both men and women, it's hard to just ignore them.
It's hard to ignore that one accusation, especially. The woman who claims Diddy drugged and raped her at a party. And she was only 13.
Yeah. If that's true, it's incredibly serious. And it could suggest a pattern of abuse.
Then there's the lawsuit that claims Diddy assaulted a woman because she accused him of being involved in Tupac's death.
Right.
Makes you think about intimidation,
Mm-hmm.
witness tampering, maybe even trying to silence people who could speak out against him.
Definitely. And the lawsuits mention other celebrities, but they don't name them.
Oh, wow.
It makes you think, who else knew about this? Was there a whole culture of silence? Did people in power look the other way?
Again, Diddy denies everything. His lawyers say it's all lies, just people trying to get money from him. They say it's all fueled by this, guilty until proven innocent mentality.
Right, and that can be a problem, especially online. But the legal process is still going. They'll present the evidence, call witnesses, a jury will decide what's true.
It's going to be a long road.
Yeah.
But even before anything's decided in court, those accusations, they've already done damage. Diddy's image, his reputation, it's all taken a hit.
That's the thing about the digital age. Information spreads so fast, reputations can be ruined in a second.
So we've covered a lot today. Some really heavy stuff. From a mysterious death in the wilderness to unsettling discoveries and a high-profile scandal. What are the key takeaways here? What can we learn from all this?
I think these cases, as different as they are, they remind us that the truth can be hard to find. And justice, it's a long, complicated process. We have to look at everything critically, be aware of our own biases, and approach these conversations with empathy. Because every case is different, every story is complex.
And we need to support victims. Believe them when they come forward. And we have to create a culture where abusers are held accountable, no matter who they are, how much money they have, how famous they are.
Exactly. These cases, they're more than just headlines. They're a reflection of who we are. They show the good and the bad, the cracks in our systems, and how people deal with incredible challenges.
Behind every story are real people whose lives have been changed forever by these events. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a journey for sure. We've explored cases that have shocked us, saddened us, and made us think. But that's what true crime does. It makes us confront some uncomfortable truths about the world.
It's true. True crime isn't just entertainment. It's a mirror reflecting our world back at us. All its beauty, its darkness, all the contradictions. So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe.